Stroke is a focal neurological deficit, which is of no other origin but cardiovascular in origin.
Depression is the leading cause of disability. Depression on its own is a persistent feeling of sadness, persistent feeling of hopelessness.
Welcome viewers to this week's episode of Health Watch on Anglican Cable Network Nigeria. I am Angela Mweze. Depression has been declared the leading cause of ill health and disability worldwide. More than 300 million people are now living with depression, an increase of more than 18% between 2005 and 2015. In the World Health Organization suicide ranking, Nigeria, with 15.1 suicide per 100 populations per year, is ranked the 30th most suicide-prone out of 183 nations in the world. Nigeria also rates 10th in Africa in suicide resulting from depression after countries with higher rates such as Togo, who's ranked at 26th, Burkina Faso 22nd, Cameroon 19th, Zimbabwe 16th, Central African Republic 13th, Sierra Leone 11th, Angola 9th, Equatorial Guinea 7th, and Cote d'Ivoire 5th. So, if you think depression is not an African man illness, maybe this information will convince you otherwise. On the program today, my guest is Dr. Ajakpo. He's a medical doctor at the Soiki Private Hospital in Abuja. Dr. Nda, you're welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
You know you're my first guest on this program, so it's good to have you back. And thank you for...
You're looking very nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we'll start with the question on, depression. Generally, people don't think depression is an African man ailment. They think it's something that is, alien to us. But before we can go into that discussion, let's establish what depression is and what it is not.
Okay. Thank you once again for inviting me.
Yep.
This is a very important topic. Just as you said in your introduction, depression is the leading cause of disability. And if you understand what that statement means, disability cuts across so many kinds of challenges, loss of a limb, loss of an eye, an arm, and all of that. So for depression to lead every other cause of disability, it is really a significant thing. So what then is depression? Depression on its own is a persistent feeling of sadness, persistent feeling of hopelessness, feeling of being down, and a loss of the ability to enjoy activities that one naturally enjoys, but that loss of that ability to enjoy those activities anymore. And all of this leading to a significant impact on the person's daily living.
Okay.
So I'll take all those words again so that you can.
Yeah, that's the thing, because persistent, I picked that word.
Persistent is the first word.
Yes.
Why did I say persistent? Because there's a difference between depression and being depressed.
Okay.
Being depressed means you are feeling sad. Okay. And that is normal.
Okay. That's good. Okay, so you get to a stage, maybe you lose somebody, or
you could lose a job. Okay. You could lose some money. You could undergo a stressful day. Even heavy rain can make you feel sad. Maybe you didn't come out with your umbrella. You could be soaked. All of that can make you feel down. Can make you feel sad, and that is being depressed.
Okay.
Now the thing about being depressed is you can always snap back and become happy. You could get home and your kids run up to you and you change. Or it could be 2 days, 3 days feeling down and then you snap back up again. Okay. That is different from depression. Depression is a persistent feeling of that sadness. So it lasts over a long period. Could be 2 weeks onwards, entering into months, 6 months of feeling down. Okay. They feel hopeless. They feel even anxiety continuously over a period. So that is when it's now depression, and it's actually a condition that has to be diagnosed by a medical doctor.
Okay.
You don't just wake up and say, I just have depression. No,
okay.
It's a clinical condition, it's a mental disorder, and it's something that a doctor has to sit down, analyze, evaluate, and then come up and say, okay, this person does have depression. The good thing about depression is that it is very, very treatable. Very, very treatable. So keywords again, persistent.
Persistent, that means that's the thing, over a period of time.
Feeling, which is our mood. Everybody has feelings. Happiness today, joy tomorrow, sadness, gloomy, and all of that. Even anger. Those are different kinds of moods and feelings that come in. So persistent feeling of sadness.
Okay.
That's the third word. Sadness, feeling hopeless, and then a loss of ability to enjoy
anything,
your activities. Yes, the person can't even enjoy sex, can't even have sex, can't even enjoy watching football anymore. Someone who used to be so happy can't enjoy going out. Hobbies, I used to love playing the music. The person no longer enjoys it. Some of them do not even want to come out of their home anymore. They're just fed up, tired. They just want to stay indoors, stay on their own. And it results in a significant impact on their daily living. So people begin to notice, what's wrong with Sarah? What's wrong with John? What's wrong with this person? Because the person's ability to live, the person's relationship with others starts to show. Yes. The thread starts to break. Even at school, activities, loss of grades, and so many other issues. So all of that comes into play. At work, people notice, this person is not functioning properly. So all of that comes together, but it's that the keywords are there: persistent, and then feeling of sadness and hopelessness, and then loss of the ability to enjoy the activities you once used to enjoy, which has now resulted in what? Significant impact on your daily living.
Okay, I like the fact that you've cleared it now. So we have been depressed. It's the normal thing with people, you know. Even the Bible says there are seasons. There are seasons. There are times you're happy. There's time to mourn, you know. But then the depression is persistent over a period of time. So, because I really want our viewers to know the difference. Now, is it different? You know, when you look at the sexes, men and women, does it vary? Is it different?
Yes. There's
the population, the number of people that have, you know, come down more with. You know.
The thing is that there's a little, or rather would I say, it's a little bit more in females, just because of the hormones they usually have. There's this circadian difference that comes up. So that hormonal changes from time to time can result in certain changes. This has been discovered that it can affect their ability to function, their neurotransmitters in the brain and all of that. And it can result in being depressed. So if not for those extra changes in the hormones, I think it would have been equal, yes. And I even used to think it was more in men, because, you know,
I think most of the cases that I hear of people, you know, you know, we talked about suicide. You know, most of the cases you hear of men, you know, they don't see reason to live anymore because. Okay, we'll talk about why it's happening, but let's look at the age. Does it vary with the ages, or is just, you know, random? It happens. Randomly.
Again, what's going on? Yes, he's losing weight, he's not eating much, and this person used to eat a lot. So you need to ask questions. And that's why if we all play our part, brother's keeper, it goes a long way
to help.
Yes, it goes a long way to help. Sleeping disorders, as I said earlier, some start sleeping excessively, while some begin to have insomnia, so they lose sleep completely. It can cause physical pain. Some can have headaches, some can have waist pain, even persistent back pain. The one who is depression, could have persistent backache. And some start having suicidal thoughts, suicidal feelings.
That's okay. We'll just go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue talking on these symptoms so that we can really, you know, pull out, so that we can go step by step on, you know, what we should be looking out for and what the victim, if that's the right word to use, should be looking out for. We'll be right back.
At the King's Court is a program where we worship and praise the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords through various musical renditions. So join me, Eukaria Ozovehe, at the King's Court every Tuesday by 6 p.m. on this station, and it promises to be exciting and rewarding.
Welcome back, viewers. Before we went on the break, we were discussing depression, and my guest is still Dr. Nda Ajakpo. So, before we went on the break, we were talking on the symptoms of depression. So we looked at, the first one we looked at was sleeping disorder. We talked about sleeping disorder. We talked about eating disorder. And then what are the other symptoms?
We talked about sadness. We talked about feeling hopeless.
Feeling hopeless.
There's another one. They usually have poor concentration, and that's why a lot of them harm themselves by mistake sometimes. Some can fall off buildings. Some can make mistakes at work that can affect even their job because they are no longer able to concentrate. Some start to forget easily. Memory loss can also be part of the symptoms, yes, that need to be looked at.
Okay, so can the victim, is it possible for the victim to identify this problem? Do they have that ability to know that something is wrong with me, or somebody else has to point it out? Because I know, so I've read a couple of articles about people, and they found out that they just didn't get the strength to come out of it to identify what is going on. Is it possible for the victim?
The thing is, it's a mental disorder.
Okay.
So,
let's make that clear.
So there are changes in their brain, and then there are neurotransmitters that move around. Okay, through neural circuits, which are connections like roads. So the neurotransmitters move within those connections, transmit information, and then the person can function. So when there are changes within the biology of the brain, and even sometimes changes within the neurotransmitters, there's serotonin, there's norepinephrine, these are, and even dopamine. So when there are changes within these hormones, it can lead to depression. So as I said earlier, it's treatable.
Okay.
So, being a mental disorder, once it's diagnosed, it needs to be treated.
Okay.
If it's not treated, it can last. It can last a lifetime.
Okay.
It can go on and on. So, for someone to be able to realize, the person needs to see that they are having these symptoms. Now that we're talking about it, that's why it's good to talk
about it.
Yes. When we talk about it, then people can know that, okay, I'm feeling these things. It seems I'm depressed. So when they know they are depressed, then they can be able to seek for help.
Okay.
Yes. So most times people notice those who are depressed. Yes. They notice, oh, this person seems to have depression. This person is depressed. And then going to the hospital, you could get a proper diagnosis of depression. So it's possible. People can notice that they have challenges, but most times it's maybe relatives or friends, family members that really point it out and can now take the people to be able to seek help. Depression is really, really
a big problem. Because if it's the leading cause of disability and globally now, it's a big problem, and the increase has been really, really much, between 2005 and 2015. Now, I'm thinking, when somebody looks at these symptoms, say, there are sometimes, I know it has happened to me, there are days, 3 days, 4 days, I just don't feel like doing anything. But somehow, I just find the strength to, pop out of it. So when somebody notices that they don't have, they start feeling this way, is it proper to start going to the doctor at that time, or you should wait until you've noticed it's been happening for a long period of time, just like we differentiate depressed and depression itself?
Yeah, I think once one finds out that they have some of these symptoms, it's best to go to the hospital. It's best to seek help.
Okay.
Seek help.
That's the thing. Seek help.
Yes, seek help. So you could, if you have a trusted relative, a trusted friend, you could seek help from that person. Interaction, communication can help a lot. But some people keep things to themselves, and because it's a mental disorder, they might not even be able to know that this is going on. So they just keep on, will I say, bottling up and sticking to things the way they are. But if you seek help, if you go to the hospital, then while you are still depressed, things can be done to help such a person before it becomes fully, before it becomes full depression, and before it becomes dangerous, because there are a lot of complications that can even take the life of the person.
What kind of complications? Because I know, well, if you talk of disability, what comes to your mind? Maybe you stop working or your legs go limp, or what kind of...
That's part of it.
Wow.
Some people get to cut themselves, some people mutilate themselves, and then some people have suicidal thoughts, and some people attempt suicide, and some people are successful with the suicide. Yes, those are very terrible. And then some people become very sick.
Physically,
yes. They become sick because they are down, they are sad, their immune system drop. And before it was happening, some people become chronically ill as well. Some, because of the way they've eaten, they become obese, and it leads to heart diseases and joint conditions, and even diabetes. And those already have their own complications of kidney failures, blindness. So it's a wide spectrum. There are a lot of things that can go wrong if one is not brought out of that state. So that's why it's very important that if one notices you're depressed, is lingering long, seek help. You can go to your doctor, have a conversation, because as I said, it's treatable. So if one can do the things you're supposed to do, it can go a long way. But prevention is more of the discussion we can have.
Yeah, for the thing.
Yes.
Now I want us to just run through these symptoms, because I really want somebody watching, because since it's gotten this bad, you know, some people don't even think it's real. That's what I did, because sometimes you see people laughing about it. Oh, how can somebody be depressed? What are you depressed about? You know, some people don't think it's real. They don't think it's a medical condition. They think if you're depressed, then you're not strong enough, or you're not mentally strong enough, you know, to be as a person. So let's go over the symptoms. Number one, you notice somebody stops eating.
Stops eating.
As they would normally.
Eating disorder. So
eating.
Either they eat a lot, which makes them start adding a lot of weight, or they start eating less, which makes them lose a lot of weight. So either spectrum, the person's eating habit changes drastically, and then it's either they eat a lot or they eat less. So they lose a lot of weight, or they gain a lot of weight. Then some people start sleeping too much. Hypersomnia, why some have insomnia, so they lose a lot of, they can't sleep. They give them pills, they can't sleep, they do everything possible, they just cannot get sleep. Some people, as I said, start to lose focus, ability to concentrate. It's gone. So some memory loss.
So when you talk of this losing focus, it means just maybe you're somewhere and suddenly you're not there again.
You're not there.
Okay.
They're asking you a question, you have to bring him back sometimes. Some of those people, their boss has to tap them, am I not talking to you? And you say, oh, sorry.
And sometimes these people are not thinking of anything in particular.
Nothing, they're just down. Because there's one angle to it. Some people are fixated on the past.
Okay.
Some feel down because of mistakes they've made. So they hold on to some things, and it's affecting their ability to function today and move forward. Oh, I made a mistake 10 years ago, and you're still thinking about if I did not make that mistake, by now I should be at this level, I should be at that level, and all of that thought. And it's still, the person is still holding on to that particular thought over and over again. So those things can affect, before it was happening, they even lose concentration, and they can no longer function as they should. There's also ability, some become slow.
Okay.
Ability to think becomes slow. Ability to talk, to act, behavior. They even have slurred ability to, everything about them just becomes down.
So they even, if you have a worker, for example, who is always on the go, and suddenly the person is just not there anymore.
Can't talk well. You ask a question, he can't remember, can't think fast anymore. Slurred speech. Those are signs that the person could be having depression. And the good thing is if we know, we can now, when we pick these things, as I said, let's be our brother's keepers.
Yes.
So we can now be able to ask more questions, get into the person and see how you can help. It's treatable, so there's no one that should lose their life because of depression.
So what to take out of this is when you notice somebody changing, let's say somebody working for you, or somebody in your house, in your household, or in your church environment, or in your social environment, you notice the person changing, not coming. If you ask them, I'm at home, I don't just feel like doing anything, gradually it's good to ask questions. And instead of just assuming that this person just wants to be alone. No. It's good to ask questions.
Ask questions, how are things, and then try to be a friend. Try to go close. You could find out the person might open up about one or two things. Sometimes it's not really their fault. Something has really occurred, and then might have affected their mental state, their brain. There could be changes taking place. So if you ask questions, you can be able to discover that this is going on, and then you can help. Some of the challenges you might be able to solve that might help a little, but when it's full depression, then you need to take the person to a hospital so that the doctors can now go ahead with their own part of the management.
This is really,
so the first part is be our brother's
keeper,
be
because
there
sometimes
for each other, look out for each other. A cleaner at your office, the gate man, they're passing, you greet them, you interact, just one or two words, you could find out one or two things, and then you could sit down later and ask questions, and you might be able to discover more. It could be friends, it could be family members, relatives, but let's just be our brother's keeper. Maybe because we don't know much about it, and we've not been looking out for it, that's why so many people fall into it easily than if they knew they could help. Because I'm sure there's so many people that don't know they can actually go to the hospital to get help. They think it's just something you have to stay at home and figure it out until it gets really bad. Okay, let's talk about prevention, because I want us to dwell on that. How do we prevent this from happening? It's really rising. This issue of depression is going really high, and I was surprised to hear that in Nigeria we're ranked 30th in the world, in terms of, and in Africa we're 10th in Africa. It's really, so how do we prevent people from getting into depression? Because depressed, as you said, would happen most time in your life, but depression, how do we prevent that from happening? Okay. First of all, people need to know when they are undergoing stressful conditions, and then solve it. I know we've talked about stress some time ago, so we all need to be able to know that if people can identify when they are undergoing stressful conditions, or when others are, they can be able to help out, help themselves or help people. And if we reduce that tendency, we would be able to reduce the risk of coming down with depression. So that's one of the ways we can prevent it.
So stress management, just like we talked about.
And stress management was really wide.
It's really wide, yes.
Part of it we talked about was understand your boss at work. Understand that he wants you to come at a certain time. So you work with that. But when you don't understand that, then you make mistakes. He gets you into, and then he punishes you, gives you a query, suspends you, and then you get terminated.
And when you lose that job,
you lose the job, you have bills to pay, you have pressure, and before you know what's happening, the person becomes sad, and then starts feeling sad, and it lingers on, and before it's happening, the person no longer feels they can function properly. Changes are taking place in their brain, neurotransmitters, links, and all of that, and then it's a full-blown depression at the end of the day. So that's just one angle to it.
And even to add to that, I know that we talked about identifying what is stressing you, and then start working on that thing that is causing so much stress, or bringing this, condition to you. See it and start working on it. Okay, that's stress management.
So stress, on being able to manage that on its own. Then we all need to help each other, as I said. Be our brother's keeper. The more support we give to one another, the less we're going to have depression. The more we're able to prevent depression on its own. So we all need to work, will I say, like a team.
Like a team, especially in the church. In the church, I think the church is one place people tend to go to when they need help. most of the time. That's because if somebody has a problem, you feel once you go to your pastor, it's going to offer you the solution. Or when you speak to sister so and so or brother so and so, it will give you the solution. So the church environment should look out. You know, we in the church should look out for each other.
For one another.
You know, for one another.
For women, there's what they call postpartum depression as well, which is after they give birth. Sometimes they come down with depression as well. So, and as I said, there are a lot of hormone changes that lead to these things. So being knowledgeable of this would help you to prepare, to know that this is a possibility. So in case you notice some of those changes, you can snap out of it.
That's for the postpartum.
Postpartum, after.
I know. I've heard that. I've heard that before. That some women after.
Yeah, some push their baby away. They're just. Some do not want to do anything. They get fed up, feel hopeless. Some cry. They beat themselves. They feel so down and sad. It's not their problem.
And this normally starts after you've had.
After they've had the baby. Yes. So those changes can occur. So if the woman is aware that this can occur and she notices some of those things taking place, she can know how to seek help. She can know that, oh, it seems I'm getting towards having a depression. I need to make some changes. So she makes an effort. And then if others know around her, they can also help her. If somebody becomes less interested in the child, which is really not normal, you know. No, but even if you can now help out, so you know that, oh, this woman she's shouting, she's pushing the child away. You pick the child and she can have more support. Yeah. That's why I think the African society seems to encourage is it mommy more or something, where women come and help to take care of their daughters and their grandchildren.
For the Igbos, yes.
Yes, so they come in and they help to take care of. Yes, so that helps out a lot. You can help to relieve the stress, the strain that the woman will go through. The waking up at night. Yes, all those things will still take place, but someone else can help. You can help to carry the baby. I helped to carry my kid. So you can help to carry the baby while she sleeps, so that she can rest. Okay. So she can feel better. Because when all the pressure comes in, it can be too much for her. Okay, so we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll talk more on the prevention. Okay. Yes. So don't go anywhere, viewers. We'll be right back.
Hello there. Have you ever wondered why Jesus spoke in parables? What do you make of the word parable? Do you find it hard interpreting parables on your own? Don't worry. We have answers to those questions on Parables. Parables is a program that brings to bear what parable means and how it affects our day-to-day lifestyles, the church, the individual, and the society at large. Join me, Nzubechi Frank, as we explore the significance and the innate meaning of each parable of Jesus Christ. Coming to you every Saturday, 1 to 1:30 p.m. with repeat broadcast on Sundays, 7 a.m., Tuesdays, 3:30 p.m. and Thursdays, 7 a.m. from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN. God bless you.
Welcome back, viewers. Before we went on the break, we're discussing depression, and we have Dr. Ajakpo in the studio with us today. All right, thank you very much. We've been discussing, a lot on this depression, but before we went on the break, we're discussing prevention. So we talked about, where we stopped was helping, the communal help, the postpartum depression after a woman has given birth. She just doesn't have interest anymore. So it's a possibility. Yes. So it's good for people to watch. I don't think she's abnormal. No, I don't think she's throwing tantrums or she just doesn't want to, or she's being proud or she's being this or that. No, she's not just acting out. Hormones are affecting her and they're resulting in changes, and those changes are causing her neurotransmitters, changes in her brain, and then she starts to behave the way she's behaving. She starts to become sad, starts to be down, feeling hopeless, feeling angry, disinterested, loss of activity, things she should enjoy. She doesn't want to be involved in them. It's not her doing. There are changes that are taking place that are leading to that. So with knowledge, she can help herself. And with knowledge, others around her can also support her. And it's just a phase. It can pass. Once you support and do what you should, then it can. So does she need to go back to her doctor to yes, if the early part does not work out, for example, the support, you calm her down, you try to make her happy, you take off pressure from her, take off stress from her,
if you do that properly and she's able to snap out of it, then that's fine. But if it lingers, you notice it's lingering, becomes persistent. That's when it's the full depression. Then she needs to see her doctor. Doctor can evaluate her further and find other ways. Psychotherapy, that's very important. Then there are drugs that are available that can be given to her, given to people to treat. It's only in extreme cases that we now talk about electrocution and all of that, which is not meant to be discussed because it's not important since people will not need to do that to themselves. It has to do with the doctor and extreme cases. But what will help you and I is what we are talking about
today. Okay, so that's just also stress that even mother-in-laws and mothers should also understand that it's possible for your daughter that has just had a child to have this issue. So you shouldn't just put her off and think she's abnormal. You need to seek help or try to help her come out of it. And then if it lingers, then it's good to take her to a doctor to help her.
And it's very important. That aspect is very important. See your doctor.
So if you notice she continues all the time, it keeps happening, it keeps happening.
It's persistent.
Then don't just think this girl is not being grateful or don't think there's a problem with her. Just know that she needs help and that can help her, assistance, you know. And it's just to get that clear with our viewers, because some people might be happening to them and they're thinking, they're saying something else, but that's not what it is. It's a medical condition. Okay, so prevention is still continue. As I said earlier, the stress has to be managed
well
properly. Managed. Yes,
I talked about workplaces, family issues as well, because all these things at the end of the day would be affected. Because there are a lot of things that can break down. Even financial challenges can come in.
And that's the area I wanted us to share, because everybody seems to be complaining about the economy. The economy is bad, the economy is this, the economy is this. And some people use it as an excuse to say, oh, I'm depressed because of the economy, and then decide to go away from everything. How do we take care of that?
Well, that has to do with everyone.
Yes,
that would be collective. We all need to. I set up an NGO once, right? And my aim was values, because we all need to live a value-driven life, and we all need to be adding value in the society, right? So, living a value-driven life would help you and I if we do what we are all supposed to do, taking responsibility wherever we are placed. It would go a long way in preventing even others around us from being depressed. If we all do.
Very true.
Because imagine now, just imagine you are the head of an organization, you embezzle all the money, and for example, maybe a general hospital far away, let's say, and then the day somebody comes with their child for care, what happens? The child loses his or her life because of maybe no power supply, no generator functioning, or something is not available. Or poor function, somewhere along the line, along the chain, something that could have been prevented. That's most of the challenges we have in Nigeria, preventable issues, roads that should be fixed are not fixed. Someone has a major accident, lose their limbs, lose their legs. What do you expect? Or or have a stroke. Or even that family that took their child and lost their child. The wife becomes sad, feels down, and it can persist. Before it's happening, she has changes, thoughts, holding on to the guilt over and over for years. And then before it's happening, she has a full-blown depression, full-blown mental disorder, which could have been prevented if somebody had done his job, had just taken responsibility where he was placed. So each person, you and I, we all need to do what? Collectively live a value-driven life. We believe in the values of humanity, very important. It's a standard across board. Doesn't matter if you're white, Caucasian, if you are brown,
whatever you are,
whoever you are, the human values are the human values. Those standards are there. For example, love. We all talk about it, and it doesn't mean if you are an African, you should no longer love. We all need to. So if we do that, we all live a value-driven life, we'll all be able to make sure that we take responsibility where we are, and it will help to prevent depression. People from
as
being
a result
depressed.
of something that should have been done.
Should have been done.
Yes.
Because less pressure will move to others. We'll do what we're supposed to do, which will save so many other people. The other day, I got wind of someone. A place was robbed, and the criminal was escaping, and a security man for a different organization saw what was going on maybe around 4 a.m. and he took upon himself to chase the person, and chased the person over 14 good minutes around.
Wow.
Chasing the person, and he didn't let go until the person found out that it was getting dangerous.
Right, yeah.
The person dropped what he stole and was trying to get away. A laptop, an Apple laptop. So imagine the depression the owner could have gotten into. He would be so sad, all my work is gone. But the security guard picked up the laptop and still continued chasing until the criminal had to run into a police station.
Wow.
And he was caught.
So that person.
So that's why I'm bringing that up, is the security man took the responsibility. He didn't say, oh, that's not my own organization, they've stolen. Okay, wow, okay, the person has gone a year. Tomorrow morning I'll tell them. No. He felt, no, this is collective. He sized up the person, knew that the person didn't have weapons, and was able to do his own part. And he has saved somebody from going down, from being depressed. Yes, so we could all do, that's the collective angle to it. Individual angle is we should all knock off stress, live a healthy life will also help. We all talk about that. Eating right, sleeping right, being organized, all those things will also help, because if we do those things right, our body will function better. And as I said, you can't really place exactly what causes those changes, but there are a lot of risk factors.
Risk factors.
Yes,
okay.
I said even relatives, blood relatives who have depression.
Okay, could be a...
Yes, can make others can come down with depression when they have family members who have had depression or mental illnesses.
Okay.
Yes.
So, you know, another thing is societal pressure. I'm thinking, how can one manage it? Because there's always this expectation. I know last night I was discussing with my parents the same issue on depression, and we're talking about how you know, let's say a man in some tribe, a man wants to get married and he has all this list of what he's going to have to do to get married to this woman. And he's just earning an okay salary, you know. And so he has a lot of pressure from the society on people, you know, to be this at a particular time. You should be this at this particular time. If you're not doing it, then you are falling short of what you ought to be. There's so much pressure. How do we manage this pressure to help us? Because we might not know what is happening in the brain, because some people can manage the pressure very well, but some people just can't. I don't know. That's how it is, you know. So how do we manage this pressure, especially from the society and expectation on young people?
Yes, so that's why I said we should live value-driven lives, right?
Okay.
So if we do that, you'll know that you shouldn't, a young man, he's starting his life with his wife, just like you're saying. Why put so much pressure? You say, yeah, okay, yes, you want him to be able to take care of her. If he has enough money, he's working, he has the basics and all of that. Why go the extra mile of telling 200 relatives to bring their own list? Then you add it to your own, and then you start submitting it, and increase pressure, as you talked about. So if we are value driven, we know that we shouldn't
put that pressure on
people. You shouldn't put that pressure on others. So if we are able to do that, we will be able to take off the pressure from those people, and people will be able to live a happier life. Happiness nowadays, especially in Nigeria, it's really a big challenge, because the unemployment rate is high. Healthcare delivery, there are challenges facing people. Even the society on its own, the pressures, the roads, the weather. The
weather is not even
so many things are bringing a lot of pressure, a lot of stressful conditions on people. Then talk of now the ones that are unforeseen. For example, loss of a spouse, a loved one, and all of that. That also comes in. And then you talk of people who do 419, wake up and they find ways to swindle others.
Other people.
Yes. There was a time there was a Ponzi scheme that was
yes,
in
yeah,
town,
yeah, that really wrecked a lot of
people. People took money, did a lot of things with it, and it was, from day one, it was clear that this was a Ponzi scheme. But people went into it. Well, some say greed, some say different things. But at the end of the day, some people got depressed. Some lost their lives.
Their lives to it.
Because they lost their whole savings. And some went into, had a lot of pressure put on themselves, started looking for money to repay back. Some took association money to do different things. So at the end of the day, if we reduce that stress, reduce the pressure, it will go a long way. So each and every one of us, as you said earlier, even parents, guardians, need to learn to reduce those pressures so that, and if they notice changes in their words, changes in teens, you should know that you should ask questions, be there for them, don't be too judgmental, don't attack people.
Because I'm thinking of teenagers in secondary school.
Yes, before they get into drug abuse.
Yes.
And heavy alcoholism. So it's better you sit with them, you can be able to discuss, be their friends, and you can be able to find ways to talk, understand each other, and then you can get them out of whatever they're going through.
Okay.
But otherwise, then they get into those vices, and it makes matters worse
for them, and even for the society, because society is not, gaining anything positive from somebody who's depressed, at that particular time. Now, we've talked about the prevention. Are there foods that can help? Normal food that you eat that can help, somebody who's going through depression? Would you recommend any?
Not really, but as we always say, a balanced diet is a balanced diet. Any day, anytime, take a balanced diet. That will go a long way. Because if you eat healthy, exercise, those things are basics, and they help. They help your memory, they help your body to function better. They help to make you hydrated.
Water?
Yes.
Lots of water?
Yes, less of salt and all of that. So if you do the balanced diet, I think it will go a long way. Add your fruits, add your vegetables. These are things you should take regularly. And some
people think they should just go and drink a bottle of drink, this fizzy drink or something, just pop it in and get that sugar hype and, crash later. But that's not recommended.
No. Occasionally, but it's not recommended.
Yes, it's not recommended. Okay, so from what we have discussed today now is the main thing is, number one, the pressure the society should, or the people in the society, because society and the people should try not to put so much pressure on people. And then people, when they notice this pressure coming, they don't really have to, fall for the pressure, but do your bit. To manage it. And then the value for human life.
Yes. Be your brother's keeper. Take responsibility where you are. It will go a long way to help each and every one of us. So when we all take responsibility, we'll be able to find out when people are having issues, we can solve it, and we can do what we're supposed to do, which will prevent others from being sad, and hopeless and all of that. So if we do that as well, value-driven lives, each and every one of us, it will also go a long way.
Okay. Now, I know the other day I was having a discussion with a friend, and he was saying that he noticed that lots of his friends, men, because sometimes they don't get to talk much about their, I don't know, for some reason, men just don't like to talk about what they're going through. I don't know why. Maybe they feel it's manly not to talk about what they're going through. And that's one thing. If you don't talk about what you're going through, then you most likely die in silence, So what do you think about that?
A lot of things up. It's true. Well, I think, society is part of it. There's a way we bring up boys until they become men. Tell them don't cry, tell them a boy doesn't cry, try to make them as hard as possible. So some of those things result in people, they lose that ability to, will I say, be emotional. They lose that emotional ability. They can sit down, something is happening to someone, and they don't really care. So men become very tough, if that's what I should say. And it results in them, if they were emotional people, if they could open up like women, express yourself. You say, I'm sad today, and this is why. You can open up and talk about it on a level playing ground on a sheet of paper, if I should say. So if you can open up like that, you won't bottle things up so much. But because of the way society has brought men up, that's one of the challenges, and I think we should correct that.
Yeah.
And aside from that, I think pride as well. He doesn't want to be seen as a weakling or as someone who is, I don't know, they'll say, oh, like this or that. And so men want to be seen as in control.
In control all the time.
You're not in control at that time. You have challenges. So because of that, they don't want to open up, and then they go into things that can comfort them, maybe drinking, drugs.
And of course, sometimes you go to your male colleague, they also make you don't need to cry, you're a guy, you know.
Yes.
You know, bottle it up, endure and all that, but it's important to actually talk.
It's important. I think we all need to have people we can open up with, people we can talk to. That's where the place of a spouse is. Have someone you can be naked before the person, and then the person, you're not ashamed of anything, and then because you're ashamed, oh, how would I tell this person what I did, the mistakes I made? So that makes you not want to talk. But if you have someone that you can be open in front of and say, okay, these are the things I've done, these are the mistakes I made, I did this, I did this, I did this, and then the person can help you, you can talk about it, and then the person can find a solution. And even if there are no solutions, the person can still support you there.
Yeah, at least you've even spoken about it, you've talked about it. That's the beginning of, you know, finding a solution to your problem. Wow, this has really got more. I think I've learned more from this program today, you know, on this depression. The beginning is just knowing the difference between being depressed and going into depression. So the persistence is the important word to watch. If it's persistent, please talk to somebody, and the watchword is to seek help.
And remember, depression is treatable.
It's treatable. Depression is treatable.
It's treatable.
So you don't have to get to suicide. You need to take your own life. No, you need to get
to that. It's treatable. A doctor can sit with you and have psychotherapy sessions. There's even psychological first aid. So there's so many things that can be done. Sit down and they can discuss, and you could find solutions to the challenges on ground. And then if that doesn't even work, the psychotherapy doesn't work, it could be drugs. Yeah. Or it could be a mixture of both of them. So the drugs can help those neurotransmitters correct the imbalance, and then the person feels better. It is very, very treatable. Very, so there's nobody that should say, I'm depressed, I'm feeling down, and then I should take my life, or I'm hopeless and all of that. Seek help. And get treated. And another thing is to let the people watching know that sometimes it's not just only you that suffering that problem or that challenge. There are so many other people who have similar problems. So sometimes you feel, oh, I'm the only person in this whole world. But there are other people. Over 1.5 million Nigerians have depression. And that's even different from those who are depressed. More numbers will be depressed, because it's normal. It's an everyday thing. So, yes. And in the US, over 10 million people have depression. So it's normal. People do have it, but seek help. Because it's a mental disorder. Yes. So don't take it that, okay, you can manage it on your own. If it gets to that point where it's persistent over a long period, then seek help. Okay. And doctors are there. They can help. They can give drugs, they can do psychotherapy, and in extreme cases can do further things. And so if others, even if you notice other people, help them as well. Yes. Help them as well. Help them to seek help. Seek help. Go a long way to solve their problem. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nda, for coming on the program. Second time on my program. Good to have you here. No problem. I think there will be a third time again on the program. So thank you very much for sharing with us, and thank you for sharing with us your wealth of knowledge. Okay, viewers, that's the much we can take today on depression, and I hope you have learned much from the discussion today. Number one, seek help. Seek help. Seek help. If there's anything I can say, talk to somebody about it so that you can have the help you need. I'll see you the same time next week. Goodbye.